I didn't realize how anxious I was until the anxiety started leaving my body. That's the thing about living with constant tension for years. You stop recognizing it as abnormal. Back in America, anxiety lived quietly inside me, like a permanent resident I never questioned. I woke up alert every single morning, immediately scanning my phone for problems. I walked fast everywhere, even when I had nowhere urgent to be. I reacted before thinking, my body making decisions faster than my brain could process them. None of that felt extreme to me. It felt responsible, smart, necessary. Living in Australia changed those reactions, slowly. So gradually, I almost didn't notice it happening. Days passed without any sense of urgency or impending crisis. Crowds felt neutral instead of vaguely threatening. My body stopped preparing for problems before they existed, stopped running those constant background simulations of what could go wrong. That shift happened without any conscious effort on my part. I didn't try to relax. I didn't practice mindfulness or meditation or breathing techniques. The environment just didn't demand that level of constant readiness anymore. My nervous system figured that out before my conscious mind did. Weeks went by, and I realized I wasn't gripping my phone like a lifeline, wasn't checking locks multiple times, wasn't planning escape routes from coffee shops. The absence of those behaviors felt strange at first, like I was forgetting something important. Then it just felt normal, better than normal. It felt like freedom. The pace of daily life here completely rewired my expectations about how the world operates. People waited in lines without visible frustration or aggressive sighing. Silence between strangers felt completely normal, not awkward or tense. Public spaces didn't demand your constant attention and vigilance. Nobody was performing, nobody was posturing, everyone just existed together without friction. That absence of pressure gave my mind actual space to rest for the first time in years. Real rest, not just distraction. Anxiety feeds on constant input, on a steady stream of threats and provocations and things to worry about. Australia removed much of that input naturally, not through restriction, but through culture. The news wasn't screaming at me from every screen. People weren't arguing about politics in every conversation. Social interactions didn't feel like navigating a minefield where one wrong word could explode into confrontation. Everything moved slower, gentler, with more space between moments. That space was revolutionary for someone whose brain had been running at maximum speed for decades. I could finish thoughts without interruption, could sit with feelings without immediately needing to fix or avoid them. My attention span lengthened, my patience deepened. I stopped needing constant stimulation to avoid sitting with my own mind, because my own mind became a quieter, safer place to be. The external calm created internal calm, and that internal calm changed absolutely everything about how I experienced being alive. I noticed the changes through my behavior before I understood them mentally, physical shifts that happened beneath conscious awareness. I stopped clenching my jaw constantly, a habit so ingrained I didn't even know I was doing it until it stopped. My shoulders dropped from up near my ears to where shoulders are actually supposed to sit. My sleep improved dramatically. I went from waking up multiple times a night to sleeping straight through for 7, 8 hours. Thoughts slowed down from that constant racing, spinning, catastrophizing speed to something more measured and manageable. None of this came from intention or willpower or self-improvement programs. I didn't work on myself. The environment just guided these changes naturally. Calm was modeled everywhere I went through routine interactions and shared patience. People waited for each other, gave space, didn't rush or push or demand. Cashiers weren't stressed. Drivers weren't aggressive. Pedestrians didn't walk like they were fleeing something. That collective calm became contagious. My body absorbed it through osmosis, through thousands of small moments that didn't trigger fight or flight, through days that ended without incident, through weeks that passed without crisis. My nervous system slowly learned it could stand down, that the world wasn't actually out to get me, that most days were just fine, that safety was the norm, not the exception. And once my body believed that, everything else followed. The mental changes, the emotional changes, the transformation I didn't know I desperately needed. In America, awareness felt absolutely necessary for survival. You had to stay alert, stay informed, stay ready. Letting your guard down felt irresponsible, even dangerous. That constant vigilance became my identity. I was the guy who noticed things, who planned ahead, who never got caught off guard. In Australia, awareness felt optional. I could choose to pay attention or not, and either choice was fine. The world didn't punish me for spacing out. That difference matters more than I can properly express. Fear stopped driving my decisions about where to go, who to talk to, what to do. I reacted less to everything. Small annoyances didn't spike my heart rate. Unexpected situations didn't flood me with adrenaline. I listened more, instead of constantly planning my response while someone else was still talking. Anxiety lost its power once danger stopped feeling immediate and constant. When your brain isn't constantly scanning for threats, it has bandwidth for other things: creativity, curiosity, actual presence in the moment. I started noticing beauty again instead of just threats, started appreciating experiences instead of just surviving them, started engaging with life instead of defending against it. That shift fundamentally changed who I was as a person, made me softer in the best way, more open, more generous, less reactive, less defensive, less exhausting to be around probably. The hypervigilance that I thought made me strong was actually making me brittle. Australia showed me what actual strength looks like. It looks like calm, like trust, like not needing to control everything. Social interactions changed dramatically too, in ways I didn't expect. Conversations carried way less edge. People spoke without that underlying defensiveness that I had thought was just normal human communication. Misunderstandings didn't immediately escalate into arguments. Someone could disagree with you without it becoming personal or hostile. That safety in communication reduced my mental load enormously. My mind stopped rehearsing responses before speaking, stopped running through every possible interpretation of what someone might mean, stopped preparing for conflict that rarely came. I could just talk, just listen, just be present in conversations instead of strategizing through them. People asked questions out of genuine curiosity, not to trap you or prove you wrong. Admitting you didn't know something was fine, not a sign of weakness to be exploited. Changing your mind was growth, not hypocrisy. The social dynamics operated on completely different principles: collaboration over competition, understanding over winning, connection over dominance. That made every interaction less exhausting. I could be myself without armor, could be vulnerable without being stupid, could trust that people generally meant what they said without hidden agendas. The relief of that was profound. I didn't realize how much energy I had been spending on social defense mechanisms until I didn't need them anymore. How much of my personality was actually just protective adaptation. Underneath all that defense, I found a version of myself I barely recognized. Easier, lighter, more genuinely me. This whole experience taught me something crucial that contradicts everything I believed about anxiety. I always thought anxiety came from within, from some flaw in my brain chemistry or personality, from being weak or broken or unable to cope. But living in Australia showed me that anxiety doesn't always come from within. Sometimes, maybe most of the time, anxiety grows directly from surroundings that demand constant readiness and vigilance, from environments that punish letting your guard down, from cultures built on competition and conflict instead of cooperation and trust. Australia removed that demand quietly, without announcement or effort, just through the accumulated weight of thousands of calm interactions and peaceful days. Calm replaced vigilance over time, so gradually that I didn't notice the transition happening. One day I just realized I felt different, that my baseline had shifted, that the person I was becoming in Australia wasn't who I had been in America. And that former version of me, that tense, alert, defensive guy, he wasn't my true self. He was an adaptation, a survival strategy for an environment that required it. Here, that adaptation wasn't needed.
My nervous system figured that out and started letting it go, started returning to something more fundamental and human, something that had been buried under years of necessary tension. I wasn't discovering who I really was. I was rediscovering who I had been before the world taught me to be afraid. And that person was so much better than the defended version I had thought was me.
Living here showed me that peace doesn't grow from motivation or willpower or personal transformation programs. It grows from daily behavior patterns and cultural norms that either support calm or undermine it. When life feels predictable and respectful, when you can trust that most interactions will be neutral or positive, when the social contract holds, anxiety loses ground naturally. It doesn't have the fuel it needs to sustain itself. I didn't fix myself through therapy or medication or self-help books. I changed environments, and that environmental change fixed things I didn't even know were broken. That changed absolutely everything about how I understand mental health and human behavior. We're not isolated individuals struggling with internal demons. We're social creatures, responding rationally to our environments. My anxiety wasn't a personal failing. It was an appropriate response to a genuinely stressful environment. And my calm here isn't a personal achievement. It's an appropriate response to a genuinely calmer environment. That understanding removed so much shame and self-blame. I wasn't weak back home. I was adapting. I'm not strong here. I'm just existing in a place that doesn't require constant strength to survive. That distinction matters enormously. It means other people struggling with anxiety in high-stress environments aren't broken either. They're responding normally to abnormal pressure. And it means the solution isn't always internal work. Sometimes it's recognizing when an environment isn't serving you and having the courage to find one that does. That's what I did, and it saved me.